before we begin, thank you very much to... Hang on, I feel like I have to do this justice. Let's make sure we get this one right, because I really don't want to mess this one up. Alright. Thank you very much to Tyrannicus, Ultimate Emperor of Destruction! For joining my Patreon campaign. Thank you so much, guys. I guess since I did such a big, long introduction, I can't really explain everything else that's going on with Patreon, so we'll do that tomorrow. But for now, thank you so much for the support, and I'm glad everyone liked the April Fool's video. Not bad for what was Plan C. Plan A involving a GoPro that was brand new from Target and still died on me in a month, and the other plan involved way too many feet pics on short notice. No, I'm not elaborating. It's Q&A time once again. So, as always, early in the month, we'll be doing my March Q&A now. All the questions left for me last month. Remember, if you have a question of your own, this is the video to leave them in. I'll be going through the comments section probably on May 1st or 2nd, depending on what the video schedule is. And I'll be answering as many as I can. I try to keep it down to one per person. Try and get as many in as possible. But I think the questions are starting to thin out a little bit, so I will try to answer more if I can. So let's see what I do going through this list, and we'll make a judgment call later on next month. All right. So Gaming Nerd is asking a few questions. I will answer some. If you want them to be answered in the preceding Q&As, leave them in the comments below. I won't be looking at this list again. All right, do you think Targetmasters should have another serious focus where they could transform into something other than just the basic guns, like maybe something inspired like a 4-barrel minigun? So we kind of try. I feel like Siege was the attempt to do Targetmasters as a line-wide gimmick that turned into other things, because we had melee weapons, we had shields. Granted, they weren't that great, right? But they were at least something different. I just feel like on their own, they're just not interesting. And when you couple them into a full-size figure, it takes too much of the budget away to make them something a little bit more complicated than just a gun. So I feel like at this point, Targetmasters is just a detriment all around. Just because of they don't work on their own, and they take away from a toy if you pack them in. Just Transformers these days is so stingy that you just don't have the budget for it. So I kind of feel like the age of the Target Master is done. Give us some of the last of the ones from the G1 runs. Give us those characters that need to come with their Target Masters. But everyone else, I think we're fine. I don't think we need them again. I'll also tell you what my favorite Blitzwing is. It's still the original. We've had quite a few Blitzwings now. There's been some really fun iterations. But I still like the original. I still like his face turn in 5 Faces of Darkness. Animated's fun, don't get me wrong. But he doesn't have that character shift and growth the original one did that appeals the characters to me so much. And a lot of others are just like lost opportunities. I feel like IDW didn't do enough with him. Alright. Let's see what other questions we got as I comb through. Since you pointed out Minicons couldn't work in core class, what if they release them in 2-packs like the Siege Micromasters, or release a set of all the ones we need after Legacy has concluded? A multi-pack of Minicons specifically designed for Legacy figures wouldn't be a bad solution. As long as they weren't gang molded together, because that would... Well, here's the problem. A lot of them would be gang molded together, so you're going to see a lot that have similar colors to them. A lot that have been heavily painted over, because it's too expensive to produce that many molds for that many toys and sell them in 1 pack and only get 1 use out of them. I definitely think they would work as maybe not even core class, because I think 2-packing them in core class, like you did some like to do that, you're looking at like the Ravage and Laserbeak set from Micromasters, or the Micromasters. But even those are, again, gang molded, which means they'd be very limited in what Minicons could go together. It's too expensive to run them as separate molds. So that would also be a detriment. So like this is where Minicons are really hard to figure out how to get in. It'd be nice to see them, but there's a lot of hangups that make it really hard to get them produced. You know, personally, I think upscale them and make them core class figures. Even if they're not like compatible with like mounting points on the smaller figures, at least it gets them out. At least the partners can be there. Let's see. Knowing that Blitzwing ranks among your favorite Transformers, how do you feel about the con getting stomped by Omega Supreme in the opening title sequence of animation second season? This is why the second season doesn't air on my TV, because I cry. I cry very easily. I'm a very weak man. It's just funny they picked him. He got scooped up and they went and repaired him. It's fine. It's fine. See, I've gotten a few messages of support for the Mega Man retrospective, but the problem is my audience, because of the way the YouTube algorithm works, anything I do that isn't Transformers or Kamen Rider or toy related or anything, flatlines. Flatlines. Anytime I do anything video game, flatlines. And a retrospective would be so much work and so many videos for them to all flatline, I can't justify it. I can't. I wish I could. What would be good ways of using Dirt Boss, Crumple Zone, and Ransack detached from the Decepticon and Velocitron? Battle chargers going around vandalizing planets of outer space. I almost like the idea of the Cybertron. I almost like the idea of the Cybertron Decepticons, Thunderblast included, as almost being like a Team Rocket style group where they're just generally bumbling incompetent, and they're trying to be villainous, but they're really endearing in how they go about it. I feel like there's a niche there for like a comedy-driven team, right? See, if you could tell a Transformer story, what media form would you want it to be in? Why, and what would your role be in it? I can write. I am a writer, but the nuances and the diction required is a little bit beyond me sometimes. I feel like when I used to write stories, I feel like a lot of characters came off the same a little bit too much. I would actually prefer obviously a cartoon, but I'd also prefer the role of a showrunner. The one that's kind of like guiding the direction of the show, what the characters are like, but who can also leave like the bulk of the like the fill out the episode writing to actual actual writers. So and also the showrunner tends to get the most credit for the show because it is ultimately their idea, their goal, their storyline. They're just, the writers just are there to fill the gaps in, and flesh it out to actually 22 minutes per episode. So showrunner of a cartoon, that would be the dream. Let's see, how difficult would it be to make a Beast Wars episode using today's technology? It wouldn't be hard at all, I think. Like you point out, would it be possible for fans to make a fan-made episode? Absolutely. Like if someone wanted to sit down and actually take the time to actually do the Dark Glass episode in full CG, they could. I've seen Transformers fan CG projects and like fan-made transformations and models. It's better than anything Mainframe came up with, because that's when the art form was at its most primitive. Of course you can do it better now, and when you're talking about something that used to take a whole team and supercomputers that can now be replicated on one person's computer by a single artist, of course, like, fan artists could do a full episode. Just, you're gonna get in legal trouble, that's all. How highly do you regard the rank of Prime? It really depends on the context of the series. Prime, I find, like, typically in my head, Prime is like the top rank of everything. But in animated, they did a good job of making it just like a command rank, but there's still like general admiral equivalents above that. And that works well too, but it works well for Primes, or for an animated story. Whereas things like Prime being like the utmost rank for like G1 and Prime, that works there too. It really just depends on how well the story utilizes it. So that's the answer. What do you think of all the redecoed and retooled figures of the Beast Wars 2 toy line? It's a little bit, I don't know, it's a little odd how, like, I mean, I understand, like, Beast Wars 2 is like cobbled together from Beast Wars characters that never got released in Japan, and a bunch of previous like G2 toys redone just to fill out the line. And that was, I mean, it's a formula that works. It's a formula that works. They repeated it for car robots, and it's fine. I mean, it's fine. I mean, I don't really have any like strong opinions of it one way or another. I think Beast Wars 2 gave us some really cool redecos and retools. The cyborg beasts are especially cool, but overall, I'm just kind of, eh. A way to use the Beast Wars mutants in media. That's a really trick. I've actually been pondering that lately. Could I do that for like a underused Transformers character video? It's difficult. It's really difficult to figure out why a Transformer would give up a robot mode just to have nothing but beast modes or vehicle modes. Because it just doesn't seem practical in any way. And how do you incorporate them into stories when they have no robot mode whatsoever? And do you make it like a tragic accident where like they just permanently lost their robot modes? Because that doesn't seem fair. I don't know. It's a hard nut to crack. I've been thinking about it. What franchise would I like to see Transformers crossover and interact with? Personally, love to see Transformers Zoids. So that is entirely possible because Zoids is a Tomy brand. They actually could make that license happen. A transforming Liger Zero would be awesome. I keep saying it. I really do want it to be Power Rangers. I want to see Dinobots in Dinozord colors. I want to see a Megazord in Dinobot colors. That seems like the most blatantly obvious thing to me. I don't know why it hasn't happened yet. Do you think Bandai is getting less generous with their DX Kamen Rider toys these days? I didn't go in with the I can't answer this too much because I haven't been buying nearly as much for DX Kamen Rider, but honestly some of the stuff I've seen has been really incredible. When we talk about less generous, I have seen belts with way more functions than previous. Like the Desire Driver especially has so many different options for playability and visuals. You have things like the what was it, the Glare Driver, like the new one that's just all lights across the entire thing that does like incredibly cool effects. And then the Demon's Belt in Revice was the same way. I have seen where they've gotten like there's some that seem like a little bit thinner than they used to be, but honestly, like on the whole, I've seen way better DX toys than we previously got, so I would go with no. What's your favorite combiner of any series, and what toy is the best of that combiner? My personal favorite is Computron. I love the super futuristic vehicles. I love the mostly matched color scheme that makes it look like a much more solid robot. I like the individual robot designs. The best toy of it? Well, there's only 3, isn't there? Well, unless we include like the Creo, it's not in the running here. And then the G1's out of the running too, obviously. So it's basically down to the Unite Warrior or the Combiner War. And honestly, I've always felt that those two were exactly on par, right? Because the Hasbro one is cheaper. It's got 2 additional figures in it compared to the Japanese one, and the American one. Its afterburner is the correct color. It's orange like he's supposed to be. And then what was it? Their Strafe, I think, is actually comparable to Takara's. I think they both did something different, and they both did something good with it. Like Takara obviously put a lot more retooling and sculpting into theirs. It's a really weird mix. It's a really weird mix, but like I honestly think both sets are on par with each other. So I need to make a video that's just like a big example of that. You're tasked with introducing Star Saber to an American TF cartoon. What's some ideas that pop into mind? I like the idea of like Star Saber being like the legendary warrior, almost like a Knights of Cybertron situation, where he is just like a remnant from a lost time, where like swords and honor were a much bigger deal amongst combat with Transformers and like just like the pure gunfire and war it is today. I feel like it would be someone that like one of those mentor figures that Optimus Prime could look up to and like revere as this great hero from the past, but isn't someone who's gonna like push his way into the leadership role. I mean, he's content with his his role as just like, just a veteran. That's kind of where I feel like Star Saber would be. It's just like the returning ancient hero, who's still awesome in his own right, but like knows that he's part of the previous generation. How do I store loose figures that are not on display to avoid paint chipping and breakage? Honestly, so a lot of my loose figures are in tubs underneath my bed. The difference is I have a much higher bed than most. I have an elevated bed frame, so I don't have like a box spring. I just have the comfort mat on top. I guess the memory foam mattress. But underneath it, I have 2 layers of under bed storage tubs, like really flat, long ones. With those, since you've got less figures in each one, you're less prone to like banging them around and scratching them into each other when you move it. So beyond that, it's just like being very careful and gentle when I do slide those out. I've never like opened up the bins and found like, oh man, that's so scratched up. Oh man, that guy's that he just lost a head. I haven't had that happen yet. I will say if a character does feature quite a bit of chrome, I'll put it in a plastic bag first. Just make sure it doesn't get scratched up. But beyond that, your best bet, if you have to store loose, plastic baggie every single one of them before they go in. Simple as that. Have I ever watched Gundam? If so, what is your favorite series? I'm a bad Gundam fan. I haven't watched since probably a good 20 years, to be completely honest with you. I had TJOmega, so I love the ones from TJOmega. I like Gundam Wing, but I think I liked 08 MS Team better, just as a pure on a story level. Gundam Wing is like too politically heavy for me. I don't like politically heavy stories, which is why my favorite one is G Gundam, which is essentially Street Fighter in space with giant robots. Yes, that is my kind of Gundam. All right. Let's see, what else can we do? How would we reintroduce Alpha Quintesson, Crumple Zone, Skybite, Night Scream back into Transformers? This could be a whole other video about how to incorporate past characters that were big deals in their series but never came back. Alpha Quintesson's probably the more interesting because I feel like with the direction he took in Energon, you could make him either the original Quintesson, which is why there's like a different origin to the character, or you can make them the outlier, where they're kind of like the rogue Quintesson that is actually either helping the Transformers in some capacity. Crumple Zone we talked about. Skybite I feel like Cyberverse did a good job of just introducing him as just like a goofy Decepticon poet type. Night Scream. If you were involved in creating official Transformers media, what job would you want to... You guys need to start reading each other's comments. Jeez. Yeah, showrunner. We've been through that. If you have anyone in mind for the voice of Nova Scream in your What If Prime Survive story, I didn't have anyone in mind when I devised Nova Scream. I don't think it'd be Leonard Nimoy, because that wouldn't fit for the role. I'm trying to think if there is even an appropriate one. Offhand, like that's something I give a lot more thought to than I can right now. I don't think I'd have Chris Latta carry over even when we got back to the main series, because I wanted to be someone that could put a little bit more seriousness to the voice than he had. What would you want to see from a brand new combiner team? What would you want the theme to be? How many members would you have in the team? First off, always a 5-member team, period. Like that's the traditional, that's what I prefer. As far as the team, I was kind of thinking like what hasn't been done in the world of Transformer combiners. You've got construction vehicles, aerial vehicles, race cars, futuristic cars. You've got predatory animals. You've got sea creatures. So I was thinking like, I think I would like to see a combiner team that is focused on avian animals, because we only have Dive Bomb from the Predacons. So I think it's fair to put one in that is, mostly based on your avians. You could go mythical, just to make it to make sure there's one larger member for the core. So like a Griffin to be like the single, so you have the bulk and the mass to actually have a torso mode. Everyone else it's a little bit tricky, admittedly, because you're dealing with creatures with large wingspans, but not very big bodies to create the bulk of like an arm, a leg for a torso. But it can be done. We did it with jets, so I think we can do it with birds. And you're thinking like not just like eagles and hawks and things, but you got to think like vultures. You got to think like owls. Owls would have a pretty good like body size to do something with that. Ostrich. I mean, it doesn't fly, but you could have one that is land-based. That'd be my pick. I kind of want to see I want to see a bird combiner. We haven't done that yet. What line would you see in the Transformers collaborative line? We've kind of talked about this before. Power Rangers is the one that's easy to do. If we're branching out, yeah, Ninja Turtles. That's a really good one as well. This one I really should do like a here's 10 here's 10 franchises I want collaborative Transformers from. And Ninja Turtles would definitely be way up there. Trying to think if there's even any other one that would like outside of Hasbro's like own umbrella. Nothing's coming to mind right now, which is weird considering I'm looking through a toy store at the moment. I can't think. I don't know any other line. The only other one that would be like attention grabbing to me would be if they did a transforming Batmobile, but getting that license from DC and Mattel probably impossible. Now that you're warming up to third-party Transformer toys, would you be willing to review the Planet X Fall of Cybertron toy? Well, I can't tell you which one it would be because I don't follow third-party to know which ones there are. I'm only warming up to the I'm only warming up to the third-party Transformer toys that I don't think Hasbro themselves would do, and we know they're doing War for Cybertron designs again. So I don't know. I mean, the ones that I'd be willing to review is still very strictly limited to ones that are like my personal desires, and that honestly doesn't fall in like the Fall of Cybertron designs, unfortunately. Wave Rod, we're going to talk about that. How would you introduce revamped Minicons to potential legacy release? We talked about that. I would upscale them to core class and forget the whole like unlock gimmicks or fit in their traditional spots. I just outfit them to be 5mm compatible, maybe some kind of weapon mode so they have some extra function. But yeah, I think the idea is just make sure the partner exists for each Armada character. G1 character you would like to see beastified, and what would their beast mode be? I need to do a list that is just picking beast modes for G1 Transformers, but we got an artist out of Japan on Twitter that is killing it. If you follow Transformer people on Twitter, you're gonna see these creations retweeted. It's like insane what the guy's coming up with. I need to do it myself. The big one is also based on a fan artist. It is Blitzwing, because they did a Blitzwing design that was both a hawk and a turtle, which is a perfect way of recreating his alt modes, and it looked like it would work to the point where like I'm begging third party, do something, please make it. Why do some get upset that Minicons are not included, but find things like combinations are fine to exclude? I mean, you think you're never gonna make anyone happy. You're never gonna make everybody happy, right? So like I don't terribly mind it that Minicons are left out of their Armada toys, mostly because I want the toys to focus on just being as good as they can as representing the Armada characters. I feel like packing in a Minicon is going to take away from their engineering and their budget. And trying to work Minicon gimmicks in is going to be a disaster with the current like engineering style. So I don't mind those being excluded. But I know a lot of people who want the Minicons, obviously. I just really think it's just like, we as Transformer fans, we can't agree on anything. Really, that's kind of true, because everyone wants what they think is the ideal. Some want Tidal Wave to combine. I don't care. I want Tidal Wave to be huge. It's just a matter of how we enjoy the characters and what we expect them to do. If a Swindle comes out that doesn't combine, that's fine with me, because the character of Swindle is really strong enough to stand on his own without being part of Bruticus. I can't say the same thing about, Vortex, outside of maybe his IDW 1.0 character. Even like, or I mean, I'd say the same even for Brawl. But like, so it's just like in any decision in Transformers, some are gonna love it, some are gonna hate it. We can't all get exactly what we want out of them. It's not a way to do it. There's no way to do it all. How would you handle Amazons if you're given an opportunity to write it? Do you mean like the super adult J-horror one? I would... well, I think Season 1 was done perfect. I don't want anything done with Season 1. I would really want Season 2 to just not focus on this really bad love story. I'd like them to at least continue the themes and the tone of Season 1 and kind of play off of that instead of trying to divert and do something different. I feel like Season 1's fine. Season 2 diverted too much trying to do something different when it really should have just kept the flow and kept the momentum from Season 1 going. My favorite Grunt in fiction of all Transformers, my favorite Grunt, it's a stock answer, but it is going to be the Prime Minicons. Like, they were actually given a little bit of personality, even though they were like mass-produced units. And yeah, just design-wise, I think they look really, really good. And coming in like, I think it makes more sense that they all have, that there's aerial and land versions of them that are still basically identical, which makes more sense than like, I'm going to make a specialized trooper that's completely different for all three of these different scenarios. This feels a little bit more like what would make sense, because you wouldn't overcomplicate things by making like 3 completely different robots, right? You just make one robot that can do 2 different things. Notice the Big O figure on your shelf. What is your overall thoughts of the anime? This is going to sound familiar to the Amazons. Season 1 was great. Season 2 is kind of crap because it doesn't feel like they knew what they were doing. Season 2 was commissioned by Cartoon Network. They really wanted more of that show because it did so well for them on Toonami. But the show and the story was not designed to have a Season 2. So everything in Season 2 just felt both underwritten and overwritten at the same time, if that makes sense. There's a lot that they really should have explained that they didn't. There's a lot that's just too vague and too surreal to go in your head. I once had a friend who wrote this like 24-page essay on explaining the ending of Big O Season 2. That tells you your ending was not good if you have to explain it in that level of degree. What's your off-the-cuff prediction for the next HasLab Transformers figure? Gut instinct, just like off the cuff, whatever. New Devastator. With everyone looking spot on and like having all the bells and whistles thrown in. I think that's the safest bet. When G2 Transformers were released, do you think you would have took the comic book story included into Universe Comics that may boost the longevity of the franchise if it was put into a cartoon? I'm not sure you could depict the G2 comic books in a cartoon in the 90s. It's a little brutal. Transformers got eaten alive, bit by bit in that comic book. That might be a little bit too much. I mean, anything would have boosted longevity of the franchise. The franchise started dying out when the cartoon ended, and thus Transformers were just not visible anymore. Like to a kid anyway. They just kind of got lost in the shuffle in a toy aisle. I think any cartoon would have helped Transformers keep going in, like in the late 80s and early 90s. Not necessarily the G2 comics, but just, anything would have done better. If you're going to do a new Transformers video game, would you want the gameplay in the style of classic Mega Man? Not necessarily. I don't think his formula fits well, because it would really have to focus on the transformation element of a Transformer. Figuring out how to work that in, that's the tricky part, where it's not just like a run button. You just use it when you need to go faster, but it actually has practical functions, and there's like unique things to do as a vehicle that you cannot do as a robot. I'm not sure. I don't think you can do it in style classic Mega Man. I'll say that much. Have I ever watched Micron Legend, the original JP version of Armada? No, I have not. The only comparisons I know is, like, of course, because it's the original version, they don't screw up the names nearly as much. And what we got in America, because it was so rushed, was actually using a lot of test footage that was not finished. So I know Micron Legends, Micron Densetsu, they did not have nearly as many animation errors as we did. There were still some, because it's still cheap animation, but they had a much cleaner product than we got ultimately. So it's a kind of a shame. I always wanted them, like when they got to the DVD release, I really just wanted them to take the American dub and put it over the Japanese version, so we at least had that fixed. They never got around to that. What's your favorite boss fight in a Transformers game? If I made it abundantly clear, it's Tidal Wave from the Armada game. I'm pretty sure. If you could contact the dead, anyway, whose ghost of a Transformer creator or VA would you want to interview the most? I mean, the answer would probably, like, you would want to hear the answer like Chris Latta. You know, like, you'd be someone like that's like really well known as a Transformer voice actor. But keep in mind, that also means that I would have the chance to talk to like Orson Welles or Leonard Nimoy. To interview like a legendary actor, I think is like the real pull there. Though Leonard Nimoy would hate talking about Star Trek. I think he was kind of he kept doing Star Trek, but I always felt like he was sick of doing it. And then Orson Welles is behind the scenes is kind of stuffy, so maybe it wouldn't be the best. Maybe I would go with Chris Latta because he's at least a comedian. He might be fun. What theme motif do you wish they'd use for Kamen Rider that has been used or given that has or hasn't been used? What motif do you wish they'd use for Kamen Rider that has been used or given a fair chance? Had not been used. I think you're missing a word there. If it has not been used or hasn't been given a fair chance, man, they've done so many motifs for Kamen Rider. I'm trying to think right now because my first gut instinct is more mythical creatures because it always seems like they end up being enemies. And things like dragons always get used as a theme for the main rider, but nothing beyond that. You know, like I would love a Kamen Rider who had like a phoenix form, a griffin form, a dragon form. You know, like just going through the pantheon of mythical creatures. Like that would be cool. That'd be cool. Mean Green Machine. No, I did not know that in Chrono Trigger. Probably because I think I always bring Magus into the battle against his mom. So I never heard anything other than that. So I think that's how that shakes down. Are there any toys do you think use clear plastic or any recent toys that use it well? I can't remember offhand. There was one I reviewed recently. I can't even remember which one it is now. Where I actually complimented the use of the clear plastic because it was inserted into the toy rather than being used as like a major component that used hinges and tolerances and all that. So, not entirely sure offhand. I mean, I'd have to go through all my recent Transformers and give you an answer. If you were a Transformer, where in your body would you place your faction symbol? I mean, there's funny spots I could put it. But I think I'm a traditionalist. It'd probably just be on the shoulder. You know, not like full chest, but like shoulder is like a nice neutral spot to put it. You know, it still displays it proudly without getting in the way of your drip. Not that I have any drip going on, but if I was a Transformer, I absolutely would. Was your most recommended figure mainline generations to purchase at release in the last 5 years? This one really good. This Cyclonus, really good. This was my toy of the year 2 years ago. It is a fantastic figure. Does an extremely good job of getting the vehicle and the robot mode right at the same time. Well articulated, good fun transformation with some really cool tricks. It's an all-around figure for me. I love that Cyclonus. But my general answer is like, pick one that looks good to you and just grab it. Most Transformers in the last 5 years have at least been decent. Let's see, what all modes would you give Primus and Unicron that's not their planet forms as toys? I mean, if I was giving them like standard vehicle modes, I feel like Unicron needs to be like a trench digger, like one of those gigantic like wheel diggers. because I think he still needs to be able to like destroy things, and break things down. For Primus is actually the harder of the two. Because there's not a whole lot of like super giant land vehicles, that would actually work for that. I don't know, like, God, I mean, my brain goes to like gigantic construction equipment like you did. Like huge dump truck, I think would fit closer to Primus. I wouldn't do a pickup truck. That seems a little like low rent for Primus. And then my other thought was space shuttle with the full rockets and everything. Like gigantic, grandiose vehicles, not like daily stuff. I don't know. That's another one that's really hard to choose. How do we feel about third-party upgrade kits for official Hasbro figures? I'm generally okay with those. I am very much the type of appreciate what you have for what it is rather than like wishing it was something else. Like finding the little flaws in that's a plastic addict jokey thing. For me personally, I avoid a lot of that. I just kind of like, I kind of enjoy it for what it is and not get worked up over what it isn't. So I don't really feel the need to upgrade my toys. More to the point, toys are so expensive now. I don't really feel like spending another $20 just to make sure that the gaps are filled up or that the sword is the right length, Transformers, Godzilla, and Jurassic Park. So what would be your personal choice or personal experience with those other two on that apart from Transformers? So I've been a Godzilla fan my whole life. Like I've grown up around those movies a lot. I like my big giant kaijus. I have friends who are like it's like living encyclopedias on the subject, but I myself have not gone that deep. Jurassic Park I liked really well too. And I'm not like a huge devotee to Jurassic Park. I've skipped a few movies here and there. I've watched the more recent ones. Well, not the newest one. So there's one I skipped. Jurassic Park is one of those like take it or leave it. I'll sit down and watch it, but it's not like my go-to or anything that I would like think to set aside time to do. Favorite Beast former or Transformers that has a Beast alternate mode besides Snapper or Scold. I'm not allowed to pick a turtle. I'm not allowed to pick a turtle. Okay. Oh God, I'm like here I am like combing through like hundreds of like animal Transformers. The one you didn't name is the one that I had as a kid that I grew up with the most. The two, which was like Snaptrap. So I like the modern one a lot too. I'm not sure if I'd call that my favorite though. I had Rampage as a kid too. I really liked G1 Rampage. That was like a really solid figure for its time. I'm trying to think of like just like pure Beast Wars-esque characters at that point. That gets a lot harder for me to pick. There's some that stood out a lot that I really liked. I really liked Air Raptor. Of course, like your standards like Dinobots and all that. It's fine. Yeah, that's a lot of thinking to figure out one specifically. All right. Okay, Real, I'm going to be real with you. Like, sometimes your comments are so freaking long, there's no way I can read through the whole thing in one video. So, like, that's just... Yeah, if I skip that out, I apologize. Just, like, I've got to keep it as short as I can to get to as many people as possible. Who are your personal 13 primes? Pretty much the prime ones, like the ones from Transformers Prime, where they originated the idea. I don't have, like, a list in front of me. But, like... you've got like Alpha Trion, Vector Prime, Megatronus, Prime, Prima, like you're as long as the standard ones are there, they can play around with the rest, and I'm fine with it, When can we see an updated collection tour? I'm probably not going to do a collection tour again. My room has changed a lot since the last collection tour. There's a lot more personal stuff around now, a lot more stuff that I really don't want to show on camera. So this is now a privacy issue. All right, so I do apologize if you want to see a new room tour. I might figure out a way of showing off my collection in bits and sections, but as far as taking a camera around my room and showing you like the whole collection as it stands now, I'm not comfortable doing that anymore. So I apologize for that. All right, who else we got here? Who else we got? As a fan of the Ankylosaurus, have you seen the Mattel Hammond Collection Jurassic Park 3 Ankylosaurus? I have, and I haven't seen it in person because it's never been in stock in any store around here. And anytime I find it online, it says it's for pre-order, and I've never been able to buy one. I do want it though. I do want it. It looks fantastic. Let's see. If you had to pick live-action movie characters to put in Legacy, who would it be? I've kind of answered, Terry, I've answered this one before. But I like answering this one. Bone Crusher's a big one, and Barricade's a big one. I really like those like movie original characters, and I would love to see how they were done. We do have like Generations Barricade now, but it's usually just a Prowl repaint, and I really wish they would do something that feels different. You know, like more of like a heavy duty police car, like the roll bar and the brush guard type car, like the heavy pursuit ones, with a little bit more of his like natural movie styles. And then Bone Crusher, yeah, I just want to see that boy, like that big stocky long arm boy in like solid G1 style. That would be fun for me. Are there any Transformer characters you think is impossible to make a good proper transforming toy out of? I've done this, I've answered this a few times. G1 RC for starters. We found out that no matter how you do her, if you make her show accurate, she's a terrible transformer. If you make her a good transformer, she's far from how she normally looks. There's no real balance we can get with RC because there just isn't enough bulk and there isn't enough space to work with that character design. There's other ones as well that I could, you could start rambling with. Like obvious ones are like Botanica. I might say the same of Night Scream from Beast Machines. Like the way he works, like where do you even put wings that size on that robot mode? Like sometimes these things are not possible, which is generally due to animators just getting too crazy. But for the most part, most Transformer designs can work as Transformers. They're designed that way from the ground up. There's just a few out there that are just the outliers. Would Plastic Addict work with other toy lines besides Transformers? This I've answered a lot. Now here's the thing. It would work. It would work with other toys because, of course, there are terrible toys in every major toy line. In fact, the longer a toy line has been going on, the more likely some extremely bad ones have popped up. The problem is, I'm a Transformer expert. A self-professed one, but it is the franchise I know and have studied the most. So I feel comfortable knowing what makes a bad Transformer particularly bad compared to others, where the average Transformer line is. I can't say that with Star Wars, I can't say it with Marvel Legends, I can't even say it with Power Rangers. It's only Transformers where I know exactly where that average line is to go, yeah, this is just not bad enough to be Plastic Addict, but this one is definitely bad. And more to the point, I don't want to spend a ton on other collections and I don't want to intentionally buy bad toys from other toy lines especially those I'm not really interested in collecting just for the sake of making Plastic Addict videos that aren't Transformer based. So the answer I always give and will always give is that Plastic Addict is a Transformer series. No argument, no compromise. I am sorry. It's just the only place where I feel like it is where I'm comfortable doing it. Have you seen Tekkaman Blade, Guyver, or Blackwall? No. Honestly, I don't have time to go back. I don't have time to watch current animes, let alone to go back and watch older ones. I'm sure they're good. It just, it's got, like, from the get-go, it has to strike me interesting if I'm going to invest time in it. And from what I've seen of those series, no, not especially. Opinion on Studio Series Scavenger. It's okay, fine. The toy's made better than the old one, but it's still a horrible design that doesn't function like a toy should. Doesn't function like an action figure should. I mean, most of the same criticisms even apply. It still has to gorilla arm just to stay upright, so you can't pose it very well. Same, basic, yeah, it's the same. I still hate the design. It doesn't matter how nice you make the design. I hate the design. All right. Do you think that Energon Hotshot gets a legacy figure? I honestly think, like, even if you did an update of Energon Hotshot, I'm not sure why you would. I find Energon Hotshot to be by far the most boring of them. You know, like his, half his vehicle mode is just his legs, and the other half is hanging off his back. And then you just have this very plain, bluish gray robot in between the two. He's a dull design. Like, he's a really dull design. So, no. I don't think you do Energon Hotshot. Do Cybertron. He's a cool design. Aaron, yes, I know the Scalpel review. I'm trying to find my original Scalpel because it's literally in pieces somewhere. But I actually need that for the review, so yeah, that one's easy. Favorite Robot Master. Oh, my brain shot to Transformers Robot Masters, where I say, oh, obviously it's the Star Saber. But no. Robot Master is referring to the Mega Man villains, and in which case it's in like Metal Man, Top Man. Oddly enough, I actually really I think Top Man's a lot of fun. I like some of those oddball ones. And then, like, on purely design standpoint, Freeze Man from 7. I always thought looked really, really good. Since we are getting a core class Energon Megatron, should we get a leader class Energon Megatron? I mean, absolutely. I mean, it's weird that we're doing a core class of Energon Megatron when that design is so good and really should, like, I really want that thing upscaled to get better and, like, modern articulation and design aesthetic, especially, but I'm not sure it really needs it either, because the original is kind of spot on too. It just needs better articulation. Should release a Legacy Commander class Power Master Optimus Prime. Includes a Power Master partner. Would you buy it? If they include the Power Master partner, I really just want it to be an accessory that plugs onto the front. I don't want to return to the Power Master gimmick, because if that breaks or if you lose the Power Master, you're out at your toy. I never liked the idea of, like, you can't even transform it unless you have this thing. That kills it for me. I would love to see it. I'd love to see, like, a proper Power Master Optimus Prime at that scale, at that level. It does seem to be where they're putting all the big trucks with trailer toys, isn't it? Was I disappointed with Beast Hunters? Not really. Not really. I mean, they switched, like, they switched, like, Allspark fragments for, like, bones. We're just going around finding bones now, so we're still doing a Pokemon hunt kind of thing. But I wasn't disappointed by it. The only part I would think of was, like, I really do kind of wish that season had more dragons instead of just Predacking. It would have been nice to see more representation for, like, Prime Predacons. How do you think a Transformer Power Ranger crossover would go? We've established this. To write it out would take a long time, but, like, I told you the crossovers I really want there. Yes, I've seen Shin Godzilla, which is fantastic. And then, yes, I've seen the trailer for Shin Kamen Rider. Also looks fantastic. I'm looking forward to that. Do you think third-party Transformers deliberately designed to actually feel like kids' toys would sell? As in not feeling like fiddly mentioned fragile plastic? No, I don't think they would. Because the third-party market is designed for the entitled G1 collector who really needs to have it look exactly like the show or exactly like the movie, no matter how complicated it is. As long as it goes from that vehicle to that robot, they are committed to that piece. They are going to buy it. It is designed like, and keep in mind, a big sector of the third-party community are people that have basically just rejected everything Hasbro has made. They don't care about modern, like, to them, no matter how good a modern toy is, it's still hollow, cheap, frail, yada, 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 even the stuff that it isn't, and it's just their own perception of how it is. So they buy third party to kind of stick it to Hasbro. So no, if you design it the way you would design a kid's toy, it would fail. It would flop, because that's not the market for third party. What Titan Transformer is the strongest? I mean, even though they've shrunk it down, it'd probably be down to, like, Fortress Maximus or Black Zarak, one or the other, I think. Till they do, like, a Titan class Primus or something. we're talking about more crossover. We're talking more like crossover stuff. I need to dedicate a whole video to this. And again, like, this is like, if you got a question, please keep it short. Please keep it short. I'm going to skip past the questions. There are whole paragraphs because I'm trying to be punchy about this. I'm trying to get as many in as I can. What TV channel or streaming service can air Kamen Rider Super Sentai? Tubi. Tubi's already airing Kamen Rider for free. Go watch. Let's see. What are your thoughts on the War for Cybertron, Fall of Cybertron video games? Would you make a video about them? I played the first one. I enjoyed it. For some reason, Fall of Cybertron, I've tried playing it myself once. I tried playing it on stream. Both times, I lost interest in the game at the exact same point when we start the Cliff Jumper and Jazz mission. I don't know what it is, but as soon as I hit that point, I'm completely burned out on the game and I never want to pick it up again. And I have no idea why. Because it's not like it's a bad game. It just, for whatever reason, like, my brain just disassociates as soon as it hits that point. Will you be going to TFCon Orlando? That is the plan. That is the plan. Now, I don't know how my October is going to shake out this far in advance, but if I can make it out and if I can get a full weekend off, yeah, I'm probably going to go. Do you think that the Transformer Minibots are from America or Japan? Some of them are from Japan because they're from the Micro Change line, and some of them are from America because they were originally designed for a different toy line. There's history videos that have gone through all of that. I don't need to repeat it. It's just, yeah. So it's a mix. What would Mega Man's alt mode be? I mean, I don't think Mega Man would be like anything extreme. I really do feel like Mega Man would just be like some kind of like compact car. It'd be kind of similar to Bumblebee, where like you'd keep to his like kind of roundish aesthetic, or almost like a wheelie style, like futuristic vehicle. I feel like I don't think he's gonna be like a jet or a tank or anything. I feel like it'd just be something kind of simple and round. You know, keep to his aesthetic. Since you're a big Turtles fan, who is your favorite Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle and why is it Michelangelo? You don't... I am attacked, and I don't like it. You're not wrong, though. I like Michelangelo because, yes, he's the goofball, he's the funny one, but that's what I liked about him as a kid. As an adult, I watched Ninja Turtles, and what it gets me is, in the 2000 series was really good about emphasizing this. Michelangelo's the goof off, but he still keeps up with his brothers. You know, in a fight, he's still like keeping up with them combat wise, along with the fact that he's the most creative one. So usually he's the one who comes up with like sneaky ways to get out of situations. But I love the idea that he's a slacker, he's a goof off, but he's still just as good as his brothers, meaning if he actually committed, he would be the best of all of them. You know, and the times where, like, in that 2000 series where Mikey actually got serious, oh, he obliterates. He obliterates. Like, he beat the last version of the Shredder in that one. I think that's what the last Ronin was all about. I think I can, you know, I think that's out there enough that I don't really want to put a spoiler warning out for Last Ronin. Hi, how have things been going recently? We've got some drama going on at the house, but it's being handled. It's kind of why I'm not doing as many requests right now, just because I'm trying to just like fill time, trying to go through everything. But yeah, things are okay. You know, not great, but things are okay. We're making it through. That's a weird question to get to the end of this video on, but that's where we're going to leave it. So thank you everyone who left questions. This is a super long recording, so thank you for everyone who made it through it. We'll chop it down a little bit here, but thank you guys for watching. Remember, if you have a question for next month's Q&A video, leave it in the comment section below here. I will try to answer as many as I can. They will be very long videos, but I want to make sure everyone gets everything answered at least as much as I can. Just remember, try to keep it to one question per person per post, and try not to make these huge paragraphs, because that's just It's not, you got to remember, we're making like stuff for everyone to watch. So I can't read through and comment on a whole story, right? So quick, punchy questions, right? So thank you guys for watching. Thank you for participating. I will see you next time. Guys, I am facing the most powerful enemy any YouTuber can face, the algorithm, and I need your help to defeat him. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment. Every time you do, we attack that algorithm and we drive it back until it can no longer defeat this channel. Thank you very much.